thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. I'm your host, Manager Marty, manager at Walmart, manager at Target. I welcome each and every last one of you. Come on in. Have a seat. Come on in and just have a seat for a minute. Don't grab your plate yet. You know I serve you some food for thought. But don't grab your plate yet. Just come on in and have a seat. Just come on in. I welcome each and every last one of you that's tuning in live and live in color. I also welcome you that's joining me on a replay of this live. I appreciate it. Please leave your comments in the comments section below, your feedback. I love to read feedback, negative and positive, because both are necessary. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. We need answers. Come on in. Yeah. Have a seat. Come on in. Welcome. Don't leave the door open, though. You're going to let the air out. Come on in. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Man, listen, right? It's a couple of layers that I want to unpack and unload so that we can finally get to the bottom of everything that have unfolded within the past few days regarding Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach Jr. It's really been an eventful last 3 days, so to speak. A lot of things been going on. As we know thus far, there's an appeal that has been filed allegedly by Lamont Roach Jr. and his team, based on the decision that the New York State Athletic Commission have ruled not in favor of Lamont Roach Jr. There's a lot of different things that we have to discuss in that. There's a tweet that Tank Davis put out that I really wanted to touch base on as well regarding the rematch between him and Lamont Roach Jr. as they were going back and forth via social media. We're going to unpack all of that and really dive into what this is really all about, where we stand right now. And of course, the referee Mr. Willis, he is not allowed to give or make a public statement, which we don't need one at this point. But I think this is all good for boxing. It's good for the public interest. It's good for the casual fans that don't know too much about boxing. Because you got people like myself and others who are knowledgeable of the sport of boxing and, of course, the business of boxing that can use this as a teachable moment to provide context for everybody all across the country and the world, because a lot of people don't know all the rules in boxing. And on top of all of that, it seems like we have a lot of different experts who were never experts before, coming out of the woodwork now, playing Monday morning quarterback. There's a lot of people that don't know the rules in boxing, don't know too much about the business of boxing, and I'm including members of the media, content creators as well. But everybody has something to say about this matter, about Tank Davis taking the knee. I think that's also good for boxing because it's generating more public interest, and even on platforms that don't talk about boxing as much, including ESPN. But guess what? It allows everybody to dive into the content when it comes to boxing, because we have to keep it real. YouTube controls boxing media. So it's putting more eyes on the sport. Now, before we get into all of that, first of all, let me show my face. That's first and foremost. I mean, a lot of people, they say this one day, then they come out the next day and they switch you up. And I just like to show my face when I talk, me personally. I mean, when I can't show my face, fine, I won't show my face. But me, I like to show face because some of the things that I say are controversial. It makes sense to those that understand the business. It makes sense to those that know the sport of boxing. And sometimes I don't make sense to some that do know the sport of boxing, but I recognize it's not about whether people agree or not. It's about what's right, what's wrong. It's also about what's teachable and what's not. It's also about what's true and what's not. And of course, it's also about what's necessary and what's not necessary, or what's necessary and what's unnecessary. And, I let people draw the line to see which side they decide to stand on. Before we even get into all of that, though, I do have a very special guest that I want to introduce. Most of you know Crown Jewel Boxing. Some of you may not know him. Crown Jewel Boxing is a content creator, but Crown Jewel Boxing is also a brother of mine, a friend of mine. And he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to not just the sport of boxing, but also the business of boxing. He's also a content creator. Some of you may have frequented his platform. He gives some very interesting takes. He makes a lot of sense when he talks because of his experience and his knowledge in the game. And he has been a supporter of this channel, and I've equally have been a supporter of his channel. And I want to open up this platform to allow Crown Jewel Boxing to come on up. Not just Crown Jewel Boxing, but his son, Julio Sanchez III, who is making his professional debut in the sport of professional boxing in Atlantic City, New Jersey on March the 22nd. and I wanted father and son to come up and join us live. Let's see if we can get them on stage. Crown Jewel, can you hear me? I'm not sure we're having technical difficulties. Crown Jewel, can you hear me, Crown Jewel? We can't get Crown Jewel on. I think we have some. Hold up, we might got it. We might got it. We might have him. We might have him. We might got it. We might got the signal. We might got it. I know it's we may have it. I know, but sometimes I have to speak in that ebonics because I have so many members of the audience that they're from the hood, and so I have to make an appeal to them as well. Like I make an appeal to my educated audience members as well. I think we will have some technical difficulties, but I believe Crown Jewel is going to come back. We got him. Yeah, we got him. They try to. Crown Jewel, what's up, big dog?
What's good, bro?
They try to. You see, when you got great minds of the sport and the business of boxing, sometimes, the powers that be on social media, they don't want us to connect.
They tripping us up. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. You know me, always trying to entertain the people, man. We just got on live and live in color. We glad to have you. How you doing today, man?
Man, you went out. I'm all right, man. You see, I'm in camp, so I'm woofing, man. You know what I mean? I didn't plan on coming on talk. I just wanted to let you talk to my son. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I don't want to be one of them dads that dominate his interviews. You know what I'm saying? He can speak for himself.
Absolutely. Here's the thing, Crown Jewel. I'm glad you did come on first because I want the audience to, the ones that do not know you, the ones that do not know that you're a content creator, but also the ones that do not know your background in the sport and the business of boxing. So I think it's fair. I think you are the most credible father when we talk about fathers that have sons in the sport of boxing. And of course, your son is, going to make his professional debut. Oh, absolutely. He's going to make his professional debut March 22nd. But before we introduce, your son, let the audience members know your background in boxing because you have a lot of interesting takes on your platform. You've been on this platform, on this panel, a lot of times. People might get aware of you. You've been on other people's platforms, educating the community as well. So tell us a little bit about your background, your experience in the sport of boxing, how you came up, the whole shebang. I mean, I know your story, but other people don't. Talk to us about that before we bring your son on, man.
All right, well, my name's Julio Sanchez Jr. That's my government name. I was born into the sport. My father was a boxing trainer. My grandfather was a manager, had a world-class middleweight that fought, had the USBA, NABF titles, was a top 10 middleweight for a lot of the 80s and 90s named Kevin Killer Watts. My father had a heavyweight named Tim Gates from Detroit and a featherweight named Marty Burton from Toronto, Canada. So I went back to Canada with him because my dad didn't want to train me. I was a crybaby, became a fighter. Spent a summer there in camp with him. By the time I got back to the States, I was a pretty decent fighter, had a decent amateur career. I won the JOs, regional JOs. I won several state titles in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I won a national power tournament. I took runner-up in Ohio State Fair. So I had a nice amateur career. Walked away for a while, came back and turned pro. 3-1 as a pro. Got shoulder surgery, had bad shoulders. Became a firefighter. Took some time off the sport. Came back as a manager. I had an undefeated heavyweight by the name of Rodney Brooks. He's still undefeated, but decided to move on and go drive trucks. I had a boxing news website at one time. I'm a boxing trainer currently, but I've trained fighters. I've promoted professional cards. Of course, I've been a manager. And I worked for the New Jersey State Athletic Commission for 5 years. So just about everything you can do in boxing, I've done at some point or another. Tried to keep my kids away from it with everything in me. My son decided when he was 7 years old, I kind of bribed him, with some things I wanted him to pick up on. And he was like, listen, he was scared of it. I said, listen, if you do these things, I'll allow you to box. He agreed. So I had to hold him under the bargain. I took him to the gym, threw him in there with somebody that was a couple years older than him and way more experience, hoping that he'd get discouraged and didn't want to do it no more. That didn't work. He held his own. Asked could we come back tomorrow. I got an alarm, pulled him away, and kept him away until he was 22 years old, and he kind of ventured back into the gym because I was training fighters now, and basically let me know he was going to do it with or without me. And he's grown now, I can't stop him. So of course, as a dad, I had no choice but to support him. And he's been in here about a year. He really got consistent, I say, around in September. I got him an amateur fight. He got a first-round stoppage. He's been doing 2-a-days, training really hard. Like I said, even though he's been around the fight game his whole life, I kept him out of it, so he didn't have really an amateur career. He just got the one amateur fight, but shows, a lot of improvement, very quick. Caught on very quick. He's been sparring a world-class welterweight I trained by the name of Anthony Young. He spars a pro named Dan Murray, and all the other pros that come through here. And he's doing really well. And I just felt like it was time. He had the tools. He doesn't really have an amateur style. He's a pro style. So an opportunity presented itself for him to turn pro through my fighter Bruce Selden's management group. And they took an interest in him, and they helped me out with him too. So now I have him and also Bruce Selden Jr. fighting on March 22nd at Tropicana.
Oh man, that's awesome. I have to ask you a question, man, because you have a lot of experience in the sport, a lot of experience in the business as a former boxing manager. So you've seen both sides of the equation. As a father, though, you tried to discourage your son. Tell me, because a lot of people look at these fathers today, and I won't say their names, but a lot of these fathers that are in the game now that
living
have
through
their
their sons, living through their son.
They're living through their sons,
yeah.
But in your case, you're saying you discouraged your son. You didn't even want your son to be a part of boxing. So I'm asking, why not? It's in his blood. His father, boxing, amateur.
His grandfather, his
great-grandfather.
Yeah.
Great-grandfather. It's in his blood. Why did you, as his father, discourage him and say you don't want your son to have a box?
Well, you know all these things, Marty, but the audience may not know. Boxing's a very dirty game. It's the least paid professional sport, and you take the most punishment, the most risky. And beyond that, because I'm okay with the risk. If you do what you're supposed to do, you should be able to take care of yourself, right? But on top of all that, being the lowest paid, the highest risk, the fighters get treated so terribly. They're the lowest respected professional sport. Everybody's got their hands in their pocket. I hate to say it, but for lack of a better way to say it, I think boxing is full of like pimps and hoes, and the managers, trainers, and promoters tend to be the pimps, and the fighters be the hoes. And you're just waiting for the next person to come whisper some sweet nothings in their ear and take advantage of them until they get taken advantage of so much that they end up becoming the person that takes advantage of others. So like I know, it's just so corrupt and dirty in boxing, which is why I agreed to train him. Because I'm going to try my best to shield him from the ills of the game. But the game is rabid with wolves, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, man. And so your son, like you said, doesn't have a whole lot of amateur experience. But he has the style of a pro. So that's one of the telltale signs that boxing is in his blood, right?
Absolutely. And listen, like I said, he sparred when he was 7 a couple times against a junior Olympic champion and held his own. That scared me. But I think a lot of people won't be surprised when they see him fight on the 22nd. He's ambidextrous. He was a basketball player coming up. He played college, very good high school basketball player, played some college basketball, but decided to walk away from it and came to boxing. But being ambidextrous in basketball is transferred into boxing too, because he fights both left-handed and right-handed. He's got crack in both hands. He's an intelligent fighter. For his level of experience, his defense, I like it a lot. So he's, to be honest, he probably hear me say a lot of this stuff, but he surprised me a lot so far.
All right, now listen, for clarification purposes, we have a lot of people that visit the channel. They just view. They don't have a lot of information and knowledge of the sport. So some of their knowledge might be elementary. So when they hear you say that your son has crack in both hands, somebody might misinterpret that. Can you
listen? He can stand in the southpaw stance and land a straight left hand and get a guy out of there. He can stand in the orthodox stance and land a straight right hand and get you out of there. Like he has power in both hands. But he's an intelligent boxer. You know, I teach him, you know, to be smart. And like I said, he's not a banger. He's a boxer, but he can punch. And like I said, with his level of experience as his father, he amazes me because he can do everything southpaw that he can do orthodox. And, you know, you just don't see that with a guy at his level of experience.
Man, this is awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know you got to get back to training. Is your son around, or we waiting for him to come
Yeah,
in?
he's right here. I'm going to give you him because, like I said, I got a gym to run. Y'all chop it up. I appreciate you having my little boy, my little man on. Not my little boy, he's a grown man, but my son on. And I'll holler at you, man. Appreciate you.
Anytime. I promise you I won't hold them long.
Like, he can do his thing. The work be waiting for him no matter what time he done.
You got it, Crown Jewel.
Right. What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing great, young fella. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
So before I get into anything, the first thing I have to ask you, we heard everything that, you know, Pop said, your dad said. He was trying to discourage you from getting into boxing, even when you were 7 years old. What made you want to start boxing even when you were 7 years old as a little kid, man?
Even before I was 7, I always had a love for the sport. I grew up in it. Like I said, well, not like I said, like he said, he was a fighter. So I was always in the gym and around it. So as far as I could remember, it always been gloves in the house. He been teaching me 1-2 since I could remember. So it's just always been a love there. Like even when I wasn't in it, that's all I watched. I played basketball, football, I played everything. I could never sit and watch anything but a boxing fight. Like I don't know why. Maybe like you said, it's in the blood, but it always been there.
So what was your attitude when your dad was saying, nope, I don't want you boxing. Nope, you're going to do something else. Go play basketball, play football. I want to keep you away from boxing. What was your mentality and your attitude after you realized that your dad wasn't playing with you? He really wasn't just saying that. He kept on saying no to boxing. What was your mentality and attitude after you heard that your dad just kept staying on you? No, discouraging you.
I was it was very frustrating. Very, very, very frustrating because I always, like I said, I always had the love, but once I started to get into it and get into the gym and started to spar and all this and the third, the love became even stronger. So it's like, nah, like I want this, like this is what I want to do. And he like, nah. So then it became like not like a hate, but like it made me shy away from it. Like I don't even want to go to no boxing fights. I don't want to see boxing. Like if I can't do it, I don't even want to be around it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, man. When I was young, when I first got in boxing, 15 years old, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. When I first got punched in the ring, you know, they just, you know how it is, they just throw you in there. That's how you learn, right? I thought that after you get punched, you're supposed to say, you know what, man, that hurt.
Oh
man,
no,
I'm good. But after I got punched, I was like, oh, this is what it is? Come on, we there. Let's go. Let's get it, right? What was your attitude after the first time you actually got punched when they threw you in the ring?
Actually, it's funny because the other day it came up my first time sparring on my dad's Facebook and we was watching it. But it was just, I don't really remember too much of detail, but I remember just having fun. And like when I was done, I was just so energized. Like when we doing it again, like I was ready to go right then and there as soon as it was done.
Yeah. So now, coming up from 7 years old, walking away, playing other sports, right? Interacting with other people like your friends that's nowhere near boxing, you come back as a young man, late teens. What made you get into the mindset of, I want to go back and participate in boxing? What was your thought process like to want to get back into it after being gone for so long?
I went to California and I played college basketball, and I ended up coming home. Like I just wasn't happy. It was just a rough place in my life. I had recently, before I left, I had lost my best friend to gun violence. So I just feel like I was just lost and I didn't know where to go. So I was ripping and running and ended up starting to get in trouble and started hanging around the wrong crowd. And one day I just ended up in the gym with my dad, like no intentions of me boxing or anything, just coming in here, just messing around. And once I came into the gym, like that love automatically came back, and I've been here every day since.
Okay. Now, quick question.
Yeah.
If it's too personal, you don't have to tell us because I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that your dad said to you when it was time for you to say, Dad, this is what I want to do. I want to box. And your dad said, if you do, there were some prerequisites he gave you. If you do A, B, C, and D, I'll let you box and I'll train you. What were some of those things?
Well, first off, when I came back to the gym, he wouldn't even talk or acknowledge that I was there for the first 3 to 4 weeks. He wouldn't even look my way in the gym the first 3 or 4 weeks. And then once he seen that I kept coming and seeing that I really wanted to do this, and I ended up telling him, like, speaking up, like, yo, this is what I want to do. Like, I'm here. Like, he like, well, if this is what you want to do, you're going to do it right. I'm going to be in your corner. I'm going to be by your side. I'm going to make sure everything goes right. And you're going to be here and you're going to give it your all every day. And right there, I signed up for it. And we rocking and rolling.
Okay, rocking and rolling. You committed to all three of those things.
Yep.
Now, the thing that I love about this dialogue you and I are having, we always talk to the fighters when they make it.
Yeah.
When the fighters, are about to compete for a world title.
Yep.
When the fighters become a world champion. And we never come back and look at when they first started and interview them when they just start getting into the professional rankings. So I'm glad that you invested your time, and I appreciate your time for coming on here and giving us, the information that we need as an audience when you first get in the game. Not when you 12-0, not when you 15-0, not when you 21-0, when you 0 wins, 0 losses before you even throw a punch in a professional fight. So now I get to ask you, what is your mindset right now? You will be fighting your first professional boxing match a few weeks away from now, March 22nd. And of course, it's going to be at home in New Jersey, of course. So what is your mindset right now knowing your first professional fight, man, in a couple of weeks? What's your mindset like right now, man?
Honestly, bro, it's a dream come true, bro. My dad could always tell you, I always talked about since I was a little boy, I just want to be a professional fighter. So it's a dream come true, but honestly, right now, I'm excited, but I'm not too high. I'm not too low. I'm just ready to go. I'm in here putting in the work. I'm ready. I know I'm ready. My weight is fine. I'm just ready to go. Like, we can fight tomorrow. I'm ready.
Eating. Nobody asks boxers about eating.
Yeah.
I know boxing, so I can ask you this question. You're still young.
Uh-huh.
Do you still get tempted to eat, like even you in training camp right now, to just step aside for a minute and eat a cookie here and there? What's that process like when you're having those hunger pains and you just want to eat sweets, you want to snack a little bit, but you dedicated yourself to signing up after those 3 commitments that you made to your dad? How is it when it's time for you to deny your own body, your own hunger pains, to just step aside just for a day or maybe 2 and just eat and cheat just a little bit? What's that like, bro? Talk to us about that.
Honestly, for my first fight, that was my first time ever, like, having to deal with, like, eating right and stuff like that. Like, basketball, football, you eat what you want. As long as you're in shape, you eat what you want. My first fight, I had to cut all the sugars and all that out. It was horrible. So many nights, like, it was just horrible. But this camp, it was way easier. I feel great. My dad is a big help in making sure that I don't have to worry about what I gotta eat and what I'm taking into my body. So it gets rough sometimes, but it comes with it, and I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it to get what I want.
So March 22nd.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna hold you long. I'm gonna let you go because your dad told me no matter how long it takes, you heard him, you got to go in there in that gym and get the work in.
Yeah, for sure.
So March 22nd, professional debut. Tell us where we can find you on social media. How can the fans support you? How can we connect with you, man? Your dad's a personal friend of mine, so most likely I'll be there to support you. But we want to let the audience get an opportunity to follow you
Mhm.
0 wins, 0 losses. Not waiting until you get all the way up there,
For
and
sure.
then people want to jump on the bandwagon. No, we want to support you like right now. How can the people find you on social media? How can we connect
You
with
can
you?
follow me on Instagram at Jewel Sanchez, Facebook Julio Sanchez. I even got YouTube. I think my YouTube is Julio Sanchez too. And, yeah, those are my social media platforms y'all can get at me at, and just follow my journey. I'll be documenting my whole journey on YouTube too, so y'all can be looking forward to that too.
Awesome. Before you go, there's
Mhm.
2 things. Number 1, real quick, what's your prediction for your fight? How
Prediction.
do you see it? How do you see you coming out in your first professional fight? How you see it in your mind?
I feel like I'm gonna try to fill him out the first couple rounds, but as soon as I see the moment, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna try to get him out of there. Everybody wants to knock out, but if I can't, I'm prepared for the whole fight. I'm prepared for 4 rounds. So however it goes, I'm grateful.
But you are saying, what I hear is you are going to come out victorious in this fight March 22nd.
For sure.
For sure. And one more thing I'm going to leave you with, just a small piece of advice that's going to take you a long way, not just in boxing, but even in life. Always remember something. Your blessings come through your father. Always follow the example of your father, no matter how many people get in your ear. Not saying that you always going to agree with your father, because we know some of the greats like Roy Jones Jr., Sugar Shane Mosley, Floyd Mayweather, etc., etc. They had those moments where they had to split from their father. But at the same time, though, always listen and follow the instruction of your father. And I'm not saying that just to say that because your father is my friend. I'm saying that because a lot of times in boxing, a lot of fathers make the sacrifices for their sons. Their sons reach a certain plateau and a certain level, and then they say, okay, I don't need my dad anymore. So as long as you can connect and stay with your father, the one that you're giving credit to, always salute, respect your father. Your blessings come through your father. So just remember that, man.
I appreciate that, and I want to appreciate and thank you for allowing me to come on your platform and speak with your people. And you know,
Anytime.
I'm real excited. I'm sorry, but I just want to
That's all
thank you
right.
for allowing me to come on your platform and speak with you and your people.
Anytime. And after March 22nd, I'm wait because I know you're gonna have to, rest and chill and all that, but probably a week later before you get back in the gym, I'm gonna have you come back up here so the audience can reconnect with you, man, and then you can still show that same enthusiasm and excitement because I believe you're gonna come out with the win March 22nd.
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thank you for coming up, man. And
Thank you.
we hope to see you a week after March 22nd.
Yeah, for sure. We locked in.
We locked in. Talk to you later, big dog.
I have a good one.
All right, you do the same. That was the young Julio Sanchez, the third Crown Jewel Boxing. You know him on YouTube as a content creator, but I wanted to open up the platform for his son to get the opportunity to speak to you all. He is going to be fighting in his first professional debut, March 22nd, Tropicana out there in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So I wanted to make sure that we can hear from a fighter's perspective who's just coming into the game. You know what I mean? The fighters that's coming up, 0 wins, 0 losses. A lot of times the media don't get an opportunity to ask them certain questions and to hear their perspective because most people don't know who they are until they make a name for themselves. And also, especially if they don't have a decorated amateur background, so they don't have a lot of exposure. But I'm gonna start opening up my platform for the young up and coming fighters as well that won't get that mainstream media attention. So we can continue to follow all of these fighters, male and female, coming up in the game. But now that we got that out the way, because we're gonna bring young Julio Sanchez the third back on. Probably the last week in March after he competes, March 22nd. Y'all heard his Instagram, his handles. Y'all go follow that young man. Julio Sanchez III. Crown Jewel Boxing is his father. He's a content creator. Y'all go please subscribe to Crown Jewel Boxing TV is his YouTube channel name. He knows boxing, of course, has a lot of experience and knowledge in the game and in the business. And he always putting out content, man, making a lot of sense of the good, bad, and ugly of the sport. Now, speaking of the good, bad, and ugly of the sport, let's talk about Tank Davis. I got to show my face to say this first part, and then we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to tell y'all this now. This is just me. This is me. This don't have anything to do with anyone else's perspective, but I have to give y'all mine. I do not think that Tank Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. is going to have a rematch. I don't think so. Not now. I know Tank Davis said, I want to get this out the way right now. But before I get it out the way, I do have a few super chats. Double salute to my homegirl. She's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roller Tape Film Crew. Ty, thank you for your support and contribution to the channel. Ty even said, I need answers. She didn't say we need answers. She said, I need answers. Hopefully you get some of the answers to your questions before we go out of the broadcast today, Ty. Then we got my guy. Y'all know who he is. One of my closest homies. Good friend of mine, 30-something years and counting. Double salute to my guy, my man G's, Rod G's in the building as always. Thank you for your contribution and your support, G's. I don't think this rematch is going to happen immediately. I know Tank Davis tweeted something about the end of May. I think he was just saying that just to say that. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. You know me, I don't have any picks. I'm not biased. We have to keep it all the way 100. We know for a fact that the fight between Tank Davis and Lamont Roach is not going to happen at the end of May. I mean, we also know that it takes time to materialize fights. You know, just securing a venue alone, just having the promotional aspects and elements involved with having a fight, such as press conferences, media workouts. You mean to tell me all this going to happen within 2 months? We know that's not going to happen. And apart from all of that, we know there's only one fighter that dominates the entire month of May and the entire month of September. And that is Canelo Alvarez. And we know that Canelo Alvarez fights on Cinco de Mayo, and he also fights on Mexican Independence Day weekends. So we know for a fact that Tank Davis and Lamont Roach is not going to fight at the end of May. We know that. But at the same time, it's really good to generate the interest that we need. We definitely need this rematch. We need this rematch. As a boxing community, we need this rematch between Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. I told y'all on Sunday when I went live, and I'm going to say it again. Tank Davis was not focused in this fight. He wasn't focused. To me, I saw him mentally check in and check out multiple times in this fight. Double salute to my guy, Band Up. He's also a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape Film Crew. Double salute to my guy, All Things. He's also a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape Film Crew. Tank Davis met his match against Lamont Roach. Okay, that's just the bottom line. He met his match with Lamont Roach. I do not think that Tank Davis is interested in fighting Lamont Roach immediately. Meaning, when I say immediately, let me be clear, in his next fight. Should that be his next fight? Absolutely. This already have the makings of a bigger fight than the first fight. Now, the public interest that this fight is generating, the rematch I'm talking about. I mean, you done seen Lamont Roach on Pro Box TV. You done seen Lamont Roach on Nightcap with what's his name, Shannon Sharp and Ocho. We done seen Lamont Roach on different platforms now. Also, we had Coach Kenny Ellis, one of the trainers of Tank. He's on other platforms speaking in interviews as well. So it's like the fans want this fight. A lot of casual boxing fans was talking about the first fight. And so I believe that it has generated the interest, the public interest. The first fight, I mean, to be able to translate that into bigger money, bigger interest, bigger publicity, bigger eyes being on the sport in this rematch. Has to be done immediately. I know Tank Davis said there's a list that he goes by or that he's going to go by in his next few fights before he officially retires. But the bottom line is this fight with Lamont Roach in the rematch has to jump the line. It just has to. We've never seen Tank Davis get hit that many times. We rarely even see Tank Davis go 12 rounds. I mean, we only seen him go 12, 2 times? And one of those times was against Isaac Cruz when Tank Davis hurt his hand. You know, in this fight, the only injury that Tank Davis spoke on was when his eye was burning. When y'all saw my video at the beginning of this week, the other day, right? The rules of the New York State Athletic Commission. I put them all on the screen. I know we have a lot of experts. For some odd reason, everybody's an expert now. You know, we got people coming out saying, you know, a punch must land first. And even though we did know that the jab did land, and then there was a delayed reaction before Tank Davis looked at the referee, and then he took the knee, jumped right back up, turned his back, and then he went to his corner, etc. We know what happened. But the bottom line is Tank Davis took a knee. Nowhere in the New York State Athletic Commission rules does it state anything about whether a punch land or not. I just wanted to make sure I was the first one to be clear on that. I wanted to be clear on that. There are no timeouts in boxing unless the referee calls time. Fighters in that ring cannot call timeout. The referee did call time, and I pointed that out to each and every last one of you all on Sunday in the live. I knew it wasn't going to be called a knockdown or ruled an official knockdown because as soon as Tank Davis took the knee, the referee called time. And when there is a knockdown in a professional fight, you all know this. If you didn't know this before, you know it now. When the referee called time and after Tank Davis took the knee, you can't rule it a knockdown because when a knockdown officially is scored, the time is supposed to keep on ticking. So, you know, even though Steve Willis, you know, looked and said, oh, he took a knee, he called time, and then he started counting. And then he asked Tank, what's up? Then he told Tank, because I heard it. I had to go back and hear the audio of what he said. And I thought I heard that. I'm just telling you what I thought I heard. I thought I heard the referee, Steve Willis, say, you can't do that. What was he talking about? You can't do that. I told you all Sunday when I did the live that Steve Willis did not reprimand Calvin Ford for jumping on the steps. Jumping, not physically jumping, but he came on the steps to wipe Tank Davis's face off. I mean, he did it real fast. I don't know if he touched Tank Davis's eye because Tank Davis said his eye was burning. But I didn't see him rub the eye. I didn't see them put water on the towel. I'm just telling you what I didn't see. But what I did see, though, was that Calvin Ford came on the steps. Now, I know people were telling me that Rick Glaser and some other people said that it should have been an automatic disqualification. That's not definitely the case. You can't automatically rule something like that, automatic DQ. That's not, it's never automatic. It's to the discretion of the referee. Just like you saw in the New York State Athletic Commission rules that I posted on Monday, that the referee is the final authority to determine in New York what is ruled a knockdown or what's not ruled a knockdown. And when the referee called time, he already believed it was not a knockdown. So I knew that the Athletic Commission was not going to overturn their decision after the referee made his final decision, not just later on after the fight, but even during the fight. I know that they were saying, oh man, the technical difficulties that we had of replay. You ain't need no replay. You didn't need a replay. This is how you know you didn't need a replay. Because the timekeeper and the alternate referee who sits outside of the ring in the field of play maintaining the time didn't even stand up and start a count when Tank Davis' knee touched the canvas for the referee Steve Willis to look at the timekeeper or the alternate referee outside the ring to pick up the count. So there was no need for an instant replay. Double salute to my guy, Matthew Thomas. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Tape film crew, and he's one of my day one supporters, and he's one of my homies, one of my friends. Shout out to my guy, Matt. Double salute, Sin Ironheart. He's also a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Tape film crew. So I wanted to put that in perspective because a lot of people, learned about the rules of boxing just after this fight alone. Some people already knew the rules of boxing and they were explaining it, but some people did not know. So I'm glad that we were able to all see it in live time. And I was also glad that the people that did not know the rules of boxing were able to learn the rules, even if you learned the rules of boxing not on this platform, because it's all about education and entertainment, which what I provide on this platform. So, the bottom line is that Tank Davis, and I said this Sunday, and I'm gonna say it again, Tank Davis had a form of arrogance. I mean, he took a knee, he stood up, turned his back, went to his corner, yelled something out the ring. The referee still trying to figure out what's going on. His trainer, Calvin Ford, comes up the steps, wiped Tank Davis's face off very, very briefly. Not the eye that was burning, but the face somehow, the forehead or something else. I don't know. And then Tank Davis was asked, what's going on? Tank Davis had an engaged conversation with the referee, and I heard the referee, Steve Willis, say, you can't do that. There was no consequences or warnings after the referee told Tank Davis, you can't do that. But needless to say, the bottom line is that Tank Davis was not focused in this fight. And if he don't work on the major issue that he has in my personal assessment of this fight, which is his arrogance, it's not going to fare well for him, whether he rematches Lamont Roach or fights someone else. And I'm saying that because I believe that Tank Davis is at a point of his career where he is sitting in the same seat that Mike Tyson sat in. He's sitting in the same seat that Deontay Wilder has sat in. And that seat is, I'm accustomed to knocking everyone out. A lot of fighters don't go the entire 12 rounds, the entire distance with me. I have the neutralizers where I can end the fight earlier than expected. I don't have to take a whole lot of punishment. I'm the cash cow. And like Tank Davis told his own coaches in the corner, y'all should be listening to me. That's what he told Calvin. That's what he told Calvin Ford. Anytime the fighter can dictate the terms and dictate the pace of the relationship with a trainer, that's one of the telltale signs that arrogance has taken root in a fighter's life. Now, let's parallel that with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson fired Kevin Rooney. Mike Tyson fired Teddy Atlas, his trainers. Mike Tyson fired Bill Caton. Mike Tyson fired Jimmy Jacobs, his two managers. Now, some may say that he was influenced by Don King, but that's not the point. The point is Mike Tyson fired his team. We saw this happen when Deontay Wilder, he fired Mark Breland. After Mark Breland threw in the towel to alert the referee, Kenny Bellis, in the second fight with Tyson Fury, that he don't want his fighter to take any more punishment unnecessarily even though he was behind on the scorecards, he had got knocked down twice in that second fight, and he was taking some big punches from Tyson Fury, the bigger guy. Deontay Wilder fired him. And now Tank Davis, we know that Tank Davis demoted Calvin Ford. How do we know that? Because the chief second in the fight against Lamont Roach was Barry Hunter. Barry Hunter was the one inside of the ring, standing face to face with Tank Davis as the lead head trainer. Then, of course, you had Kenny Ellis and Calvin Ford being a supporting cast members. But at the same time, we've seen this movie play out time and time again. And unfortunately for Mike Tyson and Deontay Wilder, it didn't fare well for them after those chain of events occurred. And hopefully those chain of events won't repeat itself through history with Tank Davis. But Tank Davis have a lot to work on. Tank Davis already acknowledged that this was not his best performance. Lamont Roach came to fight. He did not come to lay down for Tank Davis, nor was he intimidated by Tank Davis. He was well prepared. They had a good game plan. And also, Tank Davis, something that I don't know if other people said this, but you know me, I have an independent thinking in my mind as always, but I have to think about this too, just knowing the sport in the business of boxing. Tank Davis never made any adjustments in this fight at all. He kept getting hit with the same punch over and over and over again, and he kept his head on the line. He did make strides when he was going to the body, but he abandoned the body attack that was working for him. But Tank Davis made no adjustments in this fight. And I don't have to qualify anything I'm saying by saying, I like Tank Davis, I got respect for Tank, because I'm learning how we don't have to qualify whether we like someone or not. We don't have to qualify whether we agree with someone or not. We got to stop that. We got to call a spade right down the middle. Yes, I like Tank. Yes, I respect Tank. But at the end of the day, I'm not biased. You never heard me on YouTube tell you who my favorite fighter is. Okay, then. I love all the fighters. All the fighters are my favorites because I know what these fighters go through behind the scenes as a professional boxing manager. And the point that I'm trying to really make is Tank Davis, he has a lot of work to do. And I heard a lot of talking in the corner. Y'all know this about me. I tell you this all the time. I do not like when a fighter has to be subject to multiple voices in the corner. It should be one voice, one sound, one band when a fighter is receiving motivation and instruction. And Tank Davis, his team was disorganized in the corner. I mean, at one point I heard Kenny Ellis talking as Tank was going to his seat after one of the rounds ended. Of course, Barry Hunter's the trainer. He's the chief second. Of course, he's going to do most of the talking. But then then Calvin Ford was sticking his head into the ropes, and he was also trying to encourage and motivate Tank Davis and give him instruction. It was just too many voices. And of course, Tank Davis, out of frustration, he looked at Calvin Ford and told him, y'all need to be listening to me. And it's the tone that he used when he said it. The bottom line is too many voices in the corner. A lot of things were off that night for Tank Davis. Got to go back to the drawing board. But the thing that nobody else have control over except for Tank Davis is the internal issues that he's suffering from. And that is the arrogance. Yes, it was his show. Yes, GTD Promotions, his promotional company, was on deck as well. Being a part of this event, we know that majority of the audience members that came as a spectator and bought their ticket or had complimentary tickets, they were there because of Tank Davis. I told y'all there's three things that Tank Davis do that makes him a superstar. He bring the cars out, he bring the stars out, and he bring the bras out. And when you got a guy that can bring those three things out, no matter what venue you place him in, guess what? Sometimes it gets to their head. It was his event. It was his show. And he showed that when he took the knee. He showed that. when the referee wouldn't take certain points away from low blows. He showed that when he directed his trainers to wipe his face off. He showed that by saying, "Look, all right, I ain't know. All right, well, we gonna finish fighting." Referee told him, "You can't do that." Tank Davis said, "All right, you know." It was his show. It's his event. So it's all about staying focused in this game. Tank Davis was losing focus. That's not an excuse. And that's not to diminish the performance of Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach came to fight. But I never told y'all this Sunday. I'm going to tell you this now, and I promise y'all I'll let y'all go soon. I had it as a draw. That's how I scored it. I don't think Lamont Roach, I told y'all this part on Sunday. He didn't do enough. And I don't have that old school adage. You got to dominate to win against a champion. You got to actually go and take the belt from the champion. No, that's the old adage in boxing. The judging criteria is extremely simple. I pointed this out a year ago when I taught some of you the 4 elements and the criteria of judging, which y'all know that I have a background in judging as well in boxing. And based on the judging criteria, one of the things that I know for a fact that Lamont Roach could have did better on is not ring generalship, is definitely not controlling the real estate, which is ring generalship, but effective aggression. He needed to work on that. Was he walking Tank back in the earlier rounds? Absolutely. But you have to be effective in your aggression, meaning throwing and landing effective punches. When Tank Davis was hurt, and I believe Tank Davis was stunned at least 2 times, and one of those times, a few seconds after he got stunned and pushed back, the bell rung. But in the next round, Lamont Roach didn't capitalize off it. He didn't jump on Tank Davis. He didn't say, "I'm going for broke." And I'm not saying that in a way that he should have been defensively irresponsible. I'm not talking about that because we know what type of damage that Tank Davis does when he catches all of his opponents flush. They usually go to sleep. But I'm talking about with the tactical and technical skills that Lamont Roach have displayed, not just in this fight, but throughout his career. When you got a guy like Tank Davis hurt, you got to do just a little more. And you have to press the attack and land effective punches. And I did not see Lamont Roach do enough of that. And Tank Davis, on the other hand, he equally didn't do enough. So with that being said, I call it a draw. I think in the rematch, if that even ever happens, I know for a fact that this rematch is not going to happen immediately. That's just me. That's my thought process. It ain't going to happen immediately. It's not going to make sense when it do happen later on either. That's why it should happen immediately. But I believe that the fight is going to be more decisive. We're going to have a definitive winner the second go round if this rematch ever takes place. That's just my assessment. But neither one of these guys did enough for me to say, you know what? I give him the win. It was a draw. A lot of people are not accustomed to seeing Tank Davis go 12 rounds, and not only that, go 12 rounds and get hit the amount of times that he got hit, and not using technical and tactical defense to basically frustrate Lamont Roach. It looked like Lamont Roach was frustrating Tank and making him very uncomfortable. And so Lamont Roach files an appeal, allegedly. I didn't see the paperwork, so I have to say allegedly. You know, we can't just go by hearsay. Let me reframe that. I don't go by hearsay. But I haven't seen any documentation to substantiate that claim. But of course, the New York State Athletic Commission stood their ground, basically saying the referee did not consider it a knockdown, and the instant replay gave us technical difficulties, et cetera, et cetera. And so because of that, hey, we're going to stick by the referee having the final authority and the judges having the final authority, which is They scored at a draw. 2 out of the 3 of them scored at a draw. Double salute to my guy, Matt Thomas. Thank you, Matt, for your support and contribution to the channel. Matt says in the super chat, to the folks in the classroom, it was an ugly move, but we got to know the rules. There is no timeouts in boxing, but that was not a knockdown. Thank you again, Matt. And Matt, spin the block with another contribution and support to the channel. So double salute to my guy, Matthew Thomas. One more again. Matt says, shout out to the chief. Shout out to the teacher for keeping it 100. I have to keep it 100. We just got to keep it all the way 100. There's no timeouts in boxing. Like I said, there's none. There's no timeouts in boxing. You know, D-Town Funk, I got to put this up there because I like a little entertainment every now and then. D-Town Funk, and D-Town Funk is always the one that's disagreeing with me and giving me a hard way to go. But today he's congratulating me, and I want to read why he's congratulating me. Marty, this is the first time you've been on point with your take. Congratulations, bro. And then he laughed. I appreciate you acknowledging that I'm on point. But I have to disagree with you, D-Town Funk, and even you know this. This is not the first time I've been on point. I'm usually on point every time you come to my show. Hey, D-Town Funk, just like I was on point when I told you by the phone booth that Terrence Crawford's performance was enhanced when he fought Sean Porter, David Evanesian, and Errol Spence. I was on point then, and that's all I'm saying. I ain't want to bring Terrence Crawford in this, but I know D-Town Funk is an avid Terrence Crawford fan, so I figured I'll use somebody to give him an example. But yeah, I mean, look, there's no timeouts in boxing. You can't just take a knee arbitrarily when you feel like it. The referee is the one that has the authority to call time and stop the actual time from the timekeeper and or the alternate referee outside the corner that's maintaining the time. But Tank Davis did it. It was an ugly move. It was his show. He did what he wanted to do. He was arrogant, and hopefully he worked on that. Because we don't want to see other fighters think that they can follow behind Tank Davis' example and say, well, look, anytime I feel like, I'm getting frustrated or I got grease in my eye or my eye's burning or I just feel like I need a short little resting period before the bell ring or before the round, and I'm just going to arbitrarily take a knee. We don't want that trend to start happening because then now the referees are going to be on point, and guess what's going to happen? They're going to have to really start saying, you know what? This is a knockdown according to the rules. I'm going to give him an 8 count. Bottom line. And then it's going to affect the scorecards. Double salute to 2 Cents Boxing. She's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. And, we got to keep it all the way real. I mean, most of the people that come on my show, whether it be on the panel or the comment section or even in the chat, are fans of Tank Davis. But this was just an ugly move for Tank. But he listen. This was a bullet that I believe Tank dodged. And hopefully, if they ever have a rematch, he sharpened up. Arrogance has no place in boxing. There's 2 things I know about boxing. Well, there's many things, but I'm talking about for the perspective of a professional boxer. There's 2 things that can happen. Number 1, you can actually be humiliated. And number 2, you can actually be humbled. And both are learning lessons for professional boxers. And so in closing, I have to leave y'all with a very proverbial scripture. If you exalt yourself, you will be humbled. But if you humble yourself, you will be exalted. So hopefully, Lamont Roach, who did the right thing by using representation, by filing not just an appeal, which is the second piece to it, but the first piece is filing a complaint against the New York State Athletic Commission to get the ruling overturned, and then following that, What do? File an appeal. We don't know what's going to happen with the appeal. I have a general idea of what's going to happen in the appeal because I've been around the business of boxing for so long. But at the end of the workday, not to discourage anyone, this is why I keep telling you all, and I've been saying this for the 2 years and 3 months that I've been on YouTube. Good representation in this business is priceless. And if Lamont Roach Jr. did not have any representation, we wouldn't even be talking about a rematch. We wouldn't be talking about filing a complaint, nor will we be talking about filing an appeal. And I say a rematch only because this is important now. Tank Davis did not officially lose the fight. So technically speaking, according to the language in the contract, if Tank Davis would have lost his title, of course, there would be an immediate rematch, just like it is for other champions. And that's usually standard in boxing according to the PBC contracts. And Tank Davis didn't officially lose, so Tank Davis don't have to give Lamont Roach a rematch, nor do we have to entertain the thought of having an immediate rematch. He don't. That's just the truth of the matter. I hope he does. I don't think it's going to be immediate, but we hope that Tank Davis does. But good representation in this business is priceless. And if he don't rematch Lamont Roach, I believe, and he's still going to be a superstar because he's still the Allen Iverson of boxing, but Tank Davis' stock is going to drop just a little bit in the minds of fans of boxing because you got to get your get back. Listen, I want to tell you this right now. I might come back live tomorrow because I want to talk about Turki Al-Sheikh. Of course, he supposedly had partnered up with Dana White. They're going to start this boxing league, et cetera, et cetera. And I haven't mentioned anything about Turki Al-Sheikh. I let everybody else shoot their load out. But I think at this point, it's time for me to give my perspective from the business of boxing on Turki Al-Sheikh. So come back live and live in color. I don't have a time, so stay tuned. But most likely tomorrow, I'm going to come back here, give my take on Turki Al-Sheikh, Dana White, and everything about Riyadh season, because at the end of the day, y'all, we need answers. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it.